My name is Ethan Carter, 34 years old, currently working as a junior project manager at Hawthorne Construction Group in Denver, Colorado. My job is not anything glamorous, mostly managing small-scale construction projects, tracking progress, holding meetings with the team, and sometimes rolling up my sleeves out on the job site to make sure everything is on track. The company is a family business founded by my grandfather and now my older brother Ryan, 38, sits in the CEO chair. He is the type who is always busy, always impeccably dressed in a suit phone ringing non-stop, and everyone in the company looks at him with genuine respect. Me. I am just the little brother, lagging somewhere in the middle, trying hard to do a good job so I do not disappoint anyone. My life is pretty ordinary. I wake up early to take my son Logan to school, come home in the evening to my wife Emily, and spend weekends with the family. But I do have one small private indulgence every week buying scratch-off lottery tickets. Not because I dream of getting rich or anything. It is just a way to blow off steam, a tiny game of chance in the middle of the daily grind. That day was an utterly ordinary Wednesday. During lunch break, I wandered over to the coffee shop near the office, grabbed a grilled chicken sandwich, and on a whim bought a lottery ticket. "Give me one scratch off $5, I said with a smile to the guy behind the counter. He handed me a ticket with a shiny golden ship on it, and I stuffed it into my jacket pocket without much thought. After eating, I went back to the office, sat down at my desk, buried under a mountain of paperwork. Colleagues around me were clacking away at their keyboards, the printer humming in the corner. I sighed, reached for the ticket, and thought, it has been a while since I tried my luck. Who knows? Maybe today is the day. I pulled out an old coin from my drawer and gently scratched off the thin silver coating. At first, nothing special, just a few small numbers, the kind that win you $10 or $20 at most. But then as I scratched the middle section, my heart suddenly tightened. Letters slowly appeared. 12 million grand prize. I blinked, thinking I must be seeing things. I kept scratching, and it became clearer. The grand prize, $12 million. My heart was pounding so hard it felt like it might burst out of my chest. Blood rushed to my head, my hands shaking so badly the coin nearly slipped. I gripped the edge of the desk nails, digging into the wood to steady myself. In my mind, I whispered, "Am I dreaming? Is this ticket fake?" But no, it was real. I checked again, read the instructions carefully, and everything matched. I had just won the lottery. $12 million, enough money to completely change my life. Emily's life and Logan's life. Emotions surged through me like a tidal wave. I wanted to scream, to jump up and down, to run into the hallway and shout, "I am rich. My life is going to change from this very moment." But I could not. The office was quiet. Colleagues sitting just a few meters away. If anyone heard, if anyone suspected, I swallowed hard and forced myself to breathe deeply. Sweat beaded on my forehead despite the cool air conditioning. I glanced around. Julia at the next desk was buried in her report. Brandon was on the phone with the contractor. No one was paying attention. Good. I slipped the ticket into my inner jacket pocket, hands still trembling. I told myself, "Calm down, Ethan. Do not do anything stupid. Verify it properly. Claim the prize safely." But in my head 1,000 thoughts flooded in. With this money I could buy a new house, send Logan to a better school, even quit my job if I wanted. And Emily, oh Emily, would be overjoyed. I pictured her face, that radiant smile, those sparkling green eyes. I imagined her throwing her arms around me, screaming with happiness. I could not sit still any longer. I stood up and went straight to my direct boss's office. Boss, something personal came up suddenly. "Can I leave early today?" I tried to keep my voice normal, but my heart was still racing. He looked at me and nodded. "Leaving early? Sure, go ahead. We will make up the meeting tomorrow." I thanked him and bolted out of the office like I was escaping. On the drive home, I was half trembling, half euphoric. Everything around me seemed surreal. Red traffic lights, blaring horns, the rush of people. I smiled to myself, imagining walking through the door. Emily, honey. I have great news. I would say that, then hand her the ticket. She would hug me. We would dance around the living room, and Logan, our 6-year-old, would run in asking what her mommy and daddy so happy about life would change. No more money worries, no more work stress, just happiness. My house is in the Denver suburbs, a modest 2-story home with a nice green front yard. I turned onto our familiar street, heart still pounding. But as I pulled into the driveway, I froze. Ryan's car was parked right in front of the house, a gleaming black Mercedes S-Class. Ryan, my brother. He is insanely busy in meetings from morning till night. He rarely visits my place, especially not at this hour, mid-afternoon, when he should be at the office. Why is he here right now? I wondered, a mix of surprise and confusion washing over me. Ryan and I are close, but not the kind of brothers who are joined at the hip. He is the boss. I am an employee. The work dynamic sometimes makes things a bit awkward. And with Emily, he is always teasing, calling her my favorite sister-in-law. But at this time, it was strange. I parked next to him, turned off the engine, and got out. My heart was still racing because of the ticket in my pocket, but now curiosity was added to the mix. I opened the front door. The keys jingled loudly. "You are home earlier than I expected." Emily's voice floated in from the living room, but it sounded off, a little high-pitched and rushed. I stepped inside, and the scene in front of me made me stop dead in my tracks. Ryan and Emily were sitting on the couch talking. They were sitting way too close, knees touching. Ryan's arm draped over the back of the couch, inches from Emily's shoulder. The moment they saw me, everything changed. Ryan's eyes flashed with surprise. Then he forced an awkward smile. Emily blushed. Bright red jumped up and smoothed her hair. "Ethan, why are you home so early?" Ryan asked, his voice noticeably higher than usual. The atmosphere instantly turned tense and awkward. They pulled apart quickly, like they had just been caught doing something wrong. Emily avoided my eyes and hurried toward the kitchen. Ryan stood up, gave me a light pat on the shoulder, but not the warm, brotherly kind he usually did. "I was just in the area," he said, his voice slightly stuttering. No jokes, no asking about work or Logan like usual. Just a curt nod, and he headed straight for the door. "Anyway, I have got to get back to the office. See you later." The door slammed, and I heard the Mercedes roar to life outside. I stood there, the lottery ticket in my pocket, suddenly feeling like it weighed a ton. Why was Ryan here? I asked Emily, trying to sound casual. She was in the kitchen with her back to me, pretending to stir something on the stove. "Oh, he just stopped by to ask me to pass something along to your parents. He said he was nearby anyway." "It was nothing." Her voice was tense, slightly shaky. When she turned around, she would not meet my eyes, then quickly turned away again. "I will keep cooking." "You go rest," she said with a forced smile that did not reach her eyes. A heavy unease settled in my chest like a rock pressing down. The joy of winning the lottery just minutes ago had vanished, replaced by a gnawing suspicion. Something was not right. Why was Ryan here at this hour? Why were they sitting so close? Why did their expressions change the moment they saw me? And Emily. She had never avoided me like this before. We have been married 8 years, and even though life has not always been perfect, I have always trusted her. Or have I? My gut was screaming at me. Do not tell her about the ticket. She cannot know. Not yet. I nodded, went upstairs, clutching the ticket tightly in my pocket. I am just imagining things I told myself. But deep down, I knew something was going on. And from that moment, I decided to keep the $12 million secret to myself. My instincts have never been wrong. In the days that followed, everything seemed normal on the surface, but I could feel subtle changes like a hairline crack in the wall of our house, slowly spreading day by day. I tried to focus on work and on secretly validating the lottery ticket. I had already called the lottery office, confirmed it was real, and made a plan to claim the prize without anyone finding out. At home, however, Emily started acting strangely. She began hiding her phone more often. It no longer lay carelessly on the dining table or the sofa like before. Whenever a message came in, she would quickly snatch it up, glance at the screen, and shove it into her pocket as if afraid I would see. One evening, while we were watching a movie with Logan, her phone buzzed. Emily immediately stood up and went to the kitchen saying she needed water. I heard her whispering something so quietly I could not make out the words. Then she came back with a stiff, forced smile. "Who was that, honey?" I asked casually, trying not to sound suspicious. "Oh, just one of the girls from my mom group," she replied, but her eyes darted away, staring at the floor instead of at me. Then there was the password thing. Emily had never locked her phone before. We had always trusted each other, or at least I thought we had. But one morning, when I absent-mindedly picked up her phone to check the time, my watch battery had died. The lock screen asked for a passcode. "You put a passcode on your phone?" I asked, half joking. She was putting on makeup in front of the mirror, paused for a split second, then laughed. "Yeah, I am just worried Logan will mess with it. He is always grabbing the phone to watch videos." The excuse sounded reasonable, but why was she so tense? Her shoulders stiffened and she quickly changed the subject. "You had better take Logan to school. We are going to be late." I nodded, but doubt had already taken root. Why now? And why did she not tell me the code? It did not stop there. Emily suddenly started paying unusual attention to her appearance. Before, she was the casual type, ponytail jeans and a t-shirt for grocery runs or picking up Logan. Now every time she left the house, she spent hours in front of the mirror, full makeup, pretty dresses, strong perfume. One afternoon, she said, "I am going to pick Logan up." She was wearing a tight emerald dress, curled hair, and bright red lipstick. I was stunned. "You look amazing. Special occasion." She gave an awkward smile. "No, I just felt like a change, that is all. But picking up our son, something that normally took 20 minutes, now took an hour, sometimes 2. When she came back, the excuse was always traffic, or I stopped by the store for a few things. I checked the shopping bags, sometimes just a couple of small items, nowhere near enough to justify that much time. Suspicion grew, but I forced myself to stay calm. Maybe she was meeting friends, I told myself. Deep down, though, I knew it was not that. Late at night was when everything became clear. Emily developed a new habit of taking her phone to the living room because she could not sleep. "I will just lie on the sofa for a bit. It is more comfortable," Emily would say, hugging a pillow as she left the bedroom. I would nod and try to sleep, but sleep would not come. Lying alone in the dark, I heard her moving around. Through the slightly open door, I saw the blue glow of her phone screen flickering on the wall mirror. Soft whispers drifted in. "Baby, I miss you. Do not make me wait much longer." The broken sentences were enough to make my heart clench. The first time I thought I had misheard. The second time I quietly slipped out of bed and crept toward the door. I heard Emily giggle, then whisper, "Tomorrow. Okay." I could not take it anymore. Who was she talking to? I wanted to burst in and demand answers, but my feet felt nailed to the floor. Fear of the truth. Fear that everything I believed in was collapsing. All these signs piled up, making it increasingly obvious that Emily was hiding something. Even simple questions from me. "What are you doing?" or "Who are you texting?" made her flustered. She would stammer, change the subject, or snap. "Why are you asking so many questions?" "I am tired." We started having small arguments, something that had never happened before. I tried to stay calm for Logan's sake. Our innocent 6-year-old had no idea what was going on. "Why is Mommy mad at Daddy?" he asked once, noticing the tense silence at dinner. I smiled and ruffled his hair. "It is nothing, buddy. Mommy and Daddy are just talking about grown-up stuff. Nothing for you to worry about." But inside, I was in agony. The lottery ticket was safely locked in a bank safe deposit box. But the joy it once brought was now completely overshadowed by this dark cloud of doubt. Work became my temporary refuge. I buried myself in projects trying to forget. But then, one fateful afternoon, everything exploded. I had a file that needed Ryan's immediate signature and urgent progress report for a new project. My boss said, "Take it up to Ryan right now." I nodded, grabbed the folder, and headed to the top floor where Ryan's private, luxurious office sat behind soundproof glass doors with a panoramic view of Denver. The elevator dinged. I stepped into the empty hallway. My heart was calm. I was not expecting anything, but as I approached the door, I froze. From inside came muffled, intimate sounds, heavy breathing, soft moans, and a familiar giggle. Emily's giggle. Ice poured through my veins. My heart pounded wildly. My face went numb. "No, Emily. Why is she here?" I whispered, barely believing my own ears. But the sounds continued, unmistakably intimate whispers and noises that could not be explained any other way. I pressed my ear to the door, clutching the folder so hard my knuckles went white. Those sounds, those words turned every fear I had into brutal reality. My wife was in there with Ryan, and it was not for work. I clearly heard Emily's voice, soft and trembling in that way only a husband would recognize. Then Ryan's low, intimate tone. No further words were needed. I understood everything. Rage surged so violently I nearly kicked the door down and stormed in to confront the two people who had betrayed me most in this world. But just then, as things quieted inside, I heard what they said next. And those words truly destroyed me. They lay there breathing heavily. Ryan's voice low and satisfied. "Just a few more weeks, baby, and you will be completely mine. Ethan, that idiot will not suspect a thing." Emily giggled, whining playfully. "You promise I cannot stand one more second with him." Ryan continued. "I will promote him to project director. Then when the company goes bankrupt, I will pin the entire massive debt on him. He will go to prison for financial fraud." Emily laughed. "Perfect. I will divorce him the moment that happens. Then we can enjoy all the money you have siphoned from the company. It is flawless." They laughed and held each other. I stood frozen outside the door, pain flooding through me like a knife carving out my heart. Every ounce of trust, love, and respect I had ever had collapsed in an instant, replaced by a deep, bone-cutting agony that would never heal. My wife and my brother. The two people closest to me had betrayed me and were plotting to destroy my life completely. I backed away, legs shaking, and left the hallway without them ever knowing I was there. In the elevator, I dry heaved into a trash can. Why? Why are they doing this? I thought, tears streaming down my face. The lottery ticket was now my only weapon. But I had to stay calm. I had to act. For hours afterward, I drove aimlessly around the city, my mind in chaos. Images of them together haunted me. Ryan, my older brother, the one I had always looked up to despite the comparisons. Emily, my wife, the mother of my child. They wanted me in prison. They wanted to take everything. I pulled over by the river and screamed inside the closed car. The pain was so intense I wanted to die. But then I thought of Logan, wiped my tears, and said, "No, I have to be stronger." I went home and pretended everything was normal. Emily greeted me with her fake smile. I smiled back, but inside, everything had changed. That night I did not sleep. Lying next to Emily, listening to her breathing, all I wanted was to ask, "Why did you betray me?" But I did not. I had to wait. I had to gather evidence. Suspicion had become undeniable truth, and the real storm was only just beginning. The next morning I showed up at the office with dark circles under my eyes, but I forced a smile. The place was as lively as ever. Phones ringing, colleagues joking around, the smell of coffee in the air. I sat down at my desk and opened my computer, but I could not concentrate. Everything around me felt fake. The friendly co-workers, the ongoing projects, all just a facade for Ryan's dark scheme. Then around 10:00 a.m., Ryan's secretary called. "Ethan, Ryan wants to see you," she said cheerfully. My heart started pounding. I grabbed a pen and pretended to jot something down to calm myself, then took the elevator to the top floor. Ryan's office door was slightly ajar. He was sitting behind his huge desk, perfectly suited up, hair neatly combed. "Ethan, come in, little bro." "I have got something to tell you," he said with a big smile, waving me in. I stepped inside, closed the door, and tried to keep my voice steady. "What is up, Ryan?" He slid a document across the desk, an official promotion letter. "Congratulations. Starting today, you are project director. I have already signed it. HR will announce it this afternoon." His tone was excited, like he was doing me a huge favor. I picked up the paper and skimmed it. Ethan Carter, promoted to project director effective immediately. Exactly what I had overheard through the door yesterday. Not a reward, a trap. I looked up and forced a smile. "Thanks, Ryan. I am shocked." He clapped me on the shoulder and laughed. "You deserve it, man. Do a good job. You will be handling bigger responsibilities and larger projects now." I nodded, but everything was crystal clear in my head. This was step one. Promote me so they could pin the massive debt on me when the company went bankrupt. He thought I was too stupid to realize and would just be thrilled. When I left his office, I took the stairs to avoid running into anyone, crumpling the paper in my fist. By the time I got back to my desk, the news had already spread. Someone had leaked it fast. Julia ran over and hugged me. "Congrats, boss. Party tonight, right?" Brandon slapped my back. "You are moving up, buddy. You owe me a beer." Everyone was laughing, clapping. Someone even brought a small cake from the break room. I smiled along and thanked them, but inside I felt completely hollow. No joy, no pride, only fear and rage. Their smiles cut like knives. They had no idea, but I did. This was not a step up. It was the first step toward the abyss. The sudden promotion made all my suspicions even sharper. Ryan was moving fast, and I had to respond immediately. I could not wait any longer. I needed an ally, someone who would believe me in the middle of this storm. I thought of Grandpa, probably the only person who would listen without judging. He was 78, retired after handing the company over to Dad, and then Ryan, but still sharp as ever. He lived alone in the old family house on the outskirts of Denver. He used to tell me when I was little, "Ethan, life is like a construction site. If the foundation is not solid, the whole thing collapses." He loved me in his own quiet way, never comparing me to Ryan the way my parents did. I asked to leave early, citing family business, and drove straight to his place. The highway blurred under the late afternoon sun, some old song playing on the radio, but I did not hear a thing. I was only thinking about what I was about to tell him. When I arrived, Grandpa was sitting on the porch reading the paper, a cup of tea beside him. "Ethan, what brings you here at this hour?" He looked surprised, stood up and hugged me. I walked inside. The familiar smell of old wood and books hit me. We sat in the living room while he made hot tea. "Tell me what is going on, son," he said, his eyes piercing but kind. I took a deep breath and told him everything. The winning lottery ticket catching Ryan and Emily at the house. Emily's strange behavior and the climax, what I overheard in Ryan's office. "My wife is cheating on me with Ryan. They are planning to frame me with the company's debt and send me to prison. Ryan has been embezzling and Emily is in on it." My voice shook. Tears rolled down my face. I told him every detail, their exact words, the bankruptcy plan, the divorce plot. Grandpa listened without interrupting, just squeezing my hand when I cried. When I finished, he was quiet for a moment, then said calmly, "Ethan, my boy, I believe you. Do not cry. We will get through this." He hugged me and patted my back like when I was a kid. Then he gave me clear, sharp advice. "Stay calm. Do not do anything rash. Ryan is smart, but greed blinds him. You need evidence, documents, recordings, everything. And the lottery money. Do not let them find out about it." I nodded, wiping my tears. "Grandpa, I need you to claim the $12 million in your name. If Emily or Ryan find out, they will try to take it or use it against me." He agreed instantly. "Done. I will put it in my name. Tomorrow we go to the bank and get it sorted. Keeping it safe is the top priority." We made a plan on the spot. The money would go into an account under his name only, and I would only touch it when absolutely necessary. He placed a hand on my shoulder, his voice low and firm. "From now on, act like you know nothing. Play along with Ryan on the surface, watch closely, then wait for the perfect moment to strike back." I stayed for dinner. Grandpa grilled steaks himself and told old stories to help me calm down. For the first time in days, I felt a little lighter. Grandpa was my rock, the one person who had not turned away from me. I got home late. Emily asked, "It is late. Where have you been?" I smiled. "Just visited Grandpa." She nodded. No suspicion. That night I actually slept a bit better, even though the pain was still there. The next morning everything was arranged. I took Grandpa to the lottery office. The process was discreet. The money was transferred into his account safe and sound. "I don't know how to thank you, Grandpa. Without you I would have collapsed," I said, hugging him tight. He smiled. "You're my grandson. Now go, stay strong." Back at the office in Denver, I kept a calm face, acting like I was clueless about the plot. Colleagues were still congratulating me. I smiled back, even bought everyone coffee. Ryan called me in for a meeting. "Ethan, now that you're project director, here's a new project. Take it over." I nodded, took notes, and pretended to be excited. "Yes, sir. I'll keep you fully updated." Inside, I was gearing up for battle. I started watching tracking when Ryan went to accounting, noting meeting schedules. I would gather evidence slowly, carefully, ready to strike back at the right moment, determined not to fall into the trap. From that point on, I stepped into a deadly chess game. Every day was a move, pretend to cooperate so they wouldn't suspect while quietly collecting information. One tiny slip, an odd glance, a careless word could bring my whole life crashing down. I woke up early, kissed Emily goodbye without looking her in the eye, and left for the office. I greeted my colleagues, laughed, and joked as if nothing were wrong. But my eyes were always watching. Ryan, my own brother, the traitor, was now my sole target. I had to be careful, just as Grandpa had warned. "Don't rush Ethan. Wait for him to make a mistake." And I waited, but not passively. After Grandpa's advice, I began moving slowly, discreetly avoiding every possible risk. First, I refused to sign any financial documents. With my new title as project director, Ryan immediately began shoving stacks of files my way: budget reports, contractor contracts, payment vouchers. "Just sign them, little bro. It's just paperwork," he'd say in meetings, sliding the pile toward me with a smug smile. I'd pick them up, pretend to read carefully, then shake my head. "Ryan, I need to double-check the details. Some of the numbers don't match the project data." He'd frown for a split second, then laugh it off. "Fine, better safe than sorry. Sign tomorrow." I nodded, but inside I knew signing meant death. Those documents were definitely laced with traps, fake expenses, hidden debts, so that when the company went bankrupt, every crime would land squarely on me. I stalled, claiming I had meetings needed to verify figures or forgot my pen. Colleagues started whispering, "The new boss is stricter than Ryan ever was." I just smiled. Better safe than sorry. I'm doing it to avoid mistakes. But my heart pounded every single time. One delay too many and Ryan might get suspicious. I began secretly monitoring activity around the company, especially the accounting department, the place Ryan kept visiting with unusual tension. The accounting office was on a middle floor behind frosted glass doors that were always locked. Ryan would slip in during lunch breaks or late afternoons when everyone was busy. I would catch glimpses of him from the elevator, face flushed, carrying a thick briefcase, glancing around like he was afraid someone was following him. One time, I pretended to photocopy documents nearby and overheard him hiss at Walter, the old chief accountant who had been with the company since Grandpa Henry's days. "Hurry up and handle it. No mistakes." Walter just nodded, pale as a ghost. I walked away, pretending I had not heard a thing, but my pulse was racing. Something dark was happening. Money laundering, embezzlement, just like what I had overheard in Ryan's office. I started keeping a tiny notebook hidden in my pocket. Dates, times, Ryan's movements. Little by little, the picture emerged. He was concealing massive financial losses. Ryan and I had grown up together. He was always the star. I was the shadow. Afternoons playing basketball in the backyard. He won. I lost. But we were close. Or at least I thought we were. Now every memory was tainted by betrayal. "Why are you doing this, Ryan?" I whispered into the dark. No answer, only resolve. I had to find proof. And then the opportunity came. It was a Wednesday night. Pouring rain, wind howling outside the windows. I decided to act. After hours, I stayed late at the office in Denver pretending to finish reports. Everyone else had gone home. The corridors were dark, only the low hum of the air conditioning. I turned off my desk lamp and waited another half hour to be absolutely sure no one would return. My heart was hammering sweat, beating despite the cool air. "Calm down, Ethan. You can do this," I told myself, remembering Grandpa's words. One careful step at a time. I grabbed the spare master key my new position gave me access to and slipped down to the accounting floor. The hallway was deserted. The security cameras were in the corners, but I knew their schedule. After 8:00 p.m., only the main entrance was recorded. I stayed in the blind spots, swiped my card, and opened the door. Click. The lock opened. I slipped inside and closed it softly behind me. The accounting office was pitch black, thick with the smell of old paper. I only used my phone's flashlight, too scared to turn on the ceiling lights in case someone saw from the hallway. Walter's computer sat in the middle of the desk screen, dark. I sat down, hands trembling slightly as I powered it on. Password screen. I tried what Walter always bragged about at company parties. His desk was covered in photos of his wife, name, and birth year clearly visible with little hearts. Elizabeth, 1965. I typed it. The desktop opened instantly. My heart nearly exploded. I quickly opened File Explorer, used the little IT knowledge I had to show hidden folders, and there they were. Pale, ghostly folder names, internal reports, offshore transfers, project adjustments. Just seeing the titles told me everything. I clicked. Irregular financial reports flooded the screen. Millions in payments to external consultants with no invoices. Fake invoices from shell contractors signed at the bottom by Ryan. Wire transfers to strange accounts in the Cayman Islands and Switzerland, places famous for secret banking. I traced an entire system. Money siphoned from construction projects, routed through shell companies, then funneled back into personal accounts. Every step approved by CEO Ryan Carter. Internal emails, notes, everything. This was organized money laundering and large-scale embezzlement. Dozens of files showed inflated project budgets. One bridge project had costs inflated by 30%, the excess diverted to companies secretly owned by Ryan. I even found the incorporation documents hidden in layered PDFs. My heart was racing, breath coming in short gasps. Dear God, how long had he been doing this? Cold sweat ran down my spine. I forced myself to calm down, sat still in the darkness, breathing deeply. The rain outside pounded like war drums. Focus, Ethan. This is major crime. Back it up. I plugged in the USB I had prepared in advance and started copying everything. The files were huge. The progress bar crawled. Every second felt like an hour. When it finished, I dug deeper and found something even worse. Fake inspection reports, doctored budget statements, fraudulent payment vouchers, and the crown jewel, a pre-drafted bankruptcy plan titled Hawthorne Construction Group Bankruptcy Plan, with my name listed under final approval, Ethan Carter, Project Director. Everything was set up to force me to sign, making me legally responsible for every cent of embezzled money, every fake expense, every mountain of debt. Tens of millions of dollars, enough to put me away for life. A chill ran through my entire body, like icy fingers around my throat. I realized how deep the conspiracy went. Ryan had not just betrayed me. He had meticulously planned my total destruction. The end for me was close, maybe just weeks away, exactly as he had told Emily. I erased every trace, cleared the recent files list, re-hid the folders, shut the computer down exactly as I had found it. I left the room, shaking legs weak, closing the door with barely a sound. Then took the stairs to avoid the elevator cameras. When I reached the parking lot, the rain was still lashing down, the ground soaked. I stood alone in the empty lot, cold wind whipping around me, clutching the USB like a grenade. I now held proof that could bring Ryan down. Emails, reports, transfers enough to involve the police. And this was only the beginning of my counterattack. The next morning, the sky over Denver was still gloomy, thick gray clouds covering everything. I drove to my parents' house, the familiar two-story home in the Boulder suburbs with the front yard full of roses my mother had always tended so carefully. On the way, I rehearsed what I would say: stay calm, speak clearly. I hoped they would listen, that they would support me. After everything I had discovered, this was the moment the family should stand together. I knocked. My mother, Julia Carter, opened the door with her warm smile. "Ethan, you are here so early. Come in. Your dad is reading the paper." She hugged me, the familiar scent of her perfume wrapping around me. My father, Robert Carter, was sitting in the living room, coffee beside him, newspaper spread across the table. "Son, what is going on?" he asked, his voice deep and warm. We sat around the dining table while Mom made hot tea. I took a deep breath and began. I laid everything out clearly. Emily's strange behavior, hiding her phone, suddenly dressing up the whispered late-night calls. Then the plan to frame me. I overheard Ryan telling Emily he would promote me and then dump all the company's debt on me when it goes bankrupt. He has been embezzling money, and Emily, she is having an affair with him. I told them every detail, what I had heard in Ryan's office, the exact words they said, and the evidence I had found in accounting. I have it all on this USB. Clear proof. Ryan wants to destroy my life and send me to prison. My voice shook, but I tried to stay calm. I just wanted them to understand. But the moment I mentioned Ryan's name, the air changed. Dad exploded, face red with anger. "What the hell are you talking about? Ethan Ryan is the pride of this family. He built that company from nothing, while you always blow little things out of proportion." I was stunned. I tried to cut in. "Dad, I am not making this up. I heard it with my own ears." Mom interrupted, voice shrill. "Ethan, stop jumping to wild conclusions. Emily is a good wife, gentle, devoted. She would never cheat. And you are tearing this family apart with these insane ideas." She defended Emily as if she were her own daughter. I tried again. Mom, I have proof. Let me show you the USB. But Dad slammed the table. Enough. You are just jealous of your brother's success, are you not? Ryan is the backbone of this family, and all you do is envy him and try to drag him down so you can finally get some attention. The conversation quickly turned into a heated shouting match. I was cast as the failure son who always finds someone to blame. Dad pointed at my face. You have been like this since you were a kid, Ethan. Always jealous of Ryan. He got good grades. He was a leader. And you just complained. Mom started crying. You are so selfish, Ethan. Why can you not think about the family? If Ryan has problems, we handle it internally, not by you running around making wild accusations. Every word felt like a knife, not just doubting me, but insulting my dignity and every effort I had ever made. I had worked hard, sacrificed for the company, for this family. Yet in their eyes, I was still the worthless son. Mom, Dad, I am not jealous. My own brother and my wife are trying to destroy me. I shouted, tears streaming down my face, but they cut me off, calling me selfish, delusional. The atmosphere was suffocating. Shouts echoed through the living room that used to be filled with laughter. I could not take it anymore. Heartbroken, I stood up and walked out in silence. If you are both so sure, then I am leaving, I said, voice choking. They did not stop me. They just watched me go with looks of disappointment. At the door, I turned back. I hope you will think about this again. The door slammed behind me. I drove away, tears blurring the road. The feeling of being betrayed by my own flesh and blood crushed my chest like a boulder. On the way home in Denver, memories flooded back like an old film reel. I remembered always being the less impressive son, while Ryan was the golden standard my parents proudly showed off to relatives. It had always been that way. Ryan's birthdays were big parties, friends invited huge cakes. Mine just family dinner and simple gifts. Every holiday, Christmas, Thanksgiving, the praise was always for Ryan. Ryan got straight A's. Ryan was such a great team captain. Ryan is just naturally brilliant. I got polite small talk. How is school? Ethan. Did you make the honor roll? Then they would turn right back to Ryan. I would sit in the corner, forcing a smile, swallowing the lump in my throat. At home, the best of everything went to Ryan. The nicest room with the garden view, the newest bike, the highest expectations. I got the leftovers, the small room, hand-me-down toys, or you will be fine with whatever is left. Ryan needs the best conditions to focus on his studies. You will manage, Dad would say. At work, it was the same. I worked twice as hard, staying late on reports out on job sites in the rain. But I was still just the little brother helping out. Ryan was the pillar of the family, praised in every meeting. Our Ryan is amazing, my parents bragged. And me, Ethan, is doing okay, but he should learn from his brother. From childhood to now, I had always watched Ryan get priority trust protection, while I remained the shadow never seen as a grown man in my own right. Late at night, alone in my room, I used to wonder, am I just not good enough? But after today's conversation, after my parents sided with Ryan and insulted me, I finally understood. This was not just one moment. It was a lifetime of being treated differently. The pain was not only from Ryan and Emily's betrayal. It was the cold truth. In my parents' eyes, I had never been the son they believed in. They chose Ryan. They chose the perfect family image over justice for their youngest child. I pulled over on the side of the road and sobbed, pounding the steering wheel. Why? Why do they not believe me? But then, I wiped my tears and realized I had only one choice left, save myself, because no one else in this family would do it for me. Grandpa was the exception, but my parents, they had chosen their side. I drove home, more determined than ever. The USB was in my pocket. The evidence was ready. No one was on my side. Then I will do it alone. I thought the storm was coming, and I would stand firm. It was a Monday morning light rain drizzling down the air in the office, heavy as if a storm were brewing. I had barely sat down and opened my email when the internal phone rang. Ryan's voice came through cold. Nothing like usual. "Ethan, come to my office now." My heart started pounding. "Yes, give me a minute," I answered, keeping my voice steady. "This is it, the moment to lay everything bare," I told myself, taking a deep breath. Ryan's office was huge, with a wide view of the gray, rain-soaked city. He sat behind his desk, face grim, no trace of his usual smile. "Sit down, Ethan," he ordered. I sat, hands clenched under the table to stay calm. On the desk lay a thick stack of documents, all stamped in bold red with my name. Ethan Carter, Project Director. Ryan pushed the pile toward me, no longer hiding his intent. "Sign them. These are the final reports for the projects. They need approval immediately." I picked them up one by one, slowly flipping through the pages, pretending to read. My pulse raced, but I kept my expression neutral. The numbers danced before my eyes. Massive expenses for international consulting, construction items that did not exist, transfers to offshore accounts. Everything matched the evidence I had found. None of it had anything to do with my actual work. Yet, my name was listed under approved by. "Ryan," I said calmly. "These figures look strange. I have never seen these line items before. $2 million, to which contractor, and why is it going to the Caymans?" He flinched, a flash of surprise in his eyes, but he quickly regained his big brother CEO authority. He leaned back in his chair, irritation clear in his voice. "Everything has already been handled internally. Your job is just to sign. Do not ask too many questions." I firmly set the documents down. "No. I need you to explain the source of every single one. This is my responsibility, and I will not sign anything I do not understand." My calm refusal visibly rattled him. He stood up, pacing the room, voice rising. "What the hell are you doing, Ethan? You do not get to set conditions. I am the CEO and your older brother. Sign the damn papers and stop making this complicated." He slammed the desk, face flushed with anger. This was the moment he lost control, and I knew the time had come. I suddenly dropped the pretense, stood up, and looked him straight in the eye, voice ice cold. "You are wrong, Ryan. I do have the right, and I know everything." He froze, staring at me. I laid it all out. I know the entire plan to frame me with the debt, the money laundering transactions, the embezzlement documents you personally directed. I have proof. The hidden reports from accounting the transfers to your shell companies. I have backed everything up. The color drained from his face as if I had slapped him. The arrogance vanished, replaced by panic. He stepped back behind the desk, voice trembling slightly. "Ethan, what are you talking about? You have got it all wrong." He sat down, trying to switch tactics, tone softening. "I would never set my own brother up. Whatever you think you saw, someone must be trying to frame me to drive a wedge between us." He forced a weak smile, hands shaking as he reached for his water glass. "Listen, it is all a misunderstanding. Maybe someone in the company is jealous, hacked the system or something." His voice turned pleading. "Ethan, do not take this too far. We are family. We grew up together, remember? Let it go. I will fix everything. Just cooperate, and it will all be fine. I promise I will cut you in if there is anything to it." The bribe was barely veiled, desperation shining in his eyes. But I stood tall, calm in a way Ryan had never seen from me before. No trembling, no weakness, no longer the little brother. No. Right and wrong will be decided by the law, not by promises or cover-ups. You betrayed me. You betrayed our family. You betrayed the company Grandpa built. I will not let you send me to prison. My voice was steady, but inside emotions surged. Rage, pain, and finally relief. Ryan lunged forward, trying to stop me. "Ethan, wait. Let me explain. Too late. I turned and walked out, leaving behind a panicked Ryan face, ashen, collapsing back into his chair. I came home earlier than usual, driving under a green sky with light rain falling like a bad omen. Our house in the suburbs looked peaceful, as always, green lawn out front. But today, everything felt heavy. I parked, turned off the engine, took a deep breath, and walked in. The smell of cooking wafted through the air. Emily was making something. But the moment I stepped inside, Emily's entire demeanor had changed. She rushed over, hugged me warmly, and spoke in the sweetest voice. "You are home. How is your day? Work tiring, I made your favorite beef stew." I flinched and took a step back. Emily had rarely been this attentive before. Lately she had been irritable, glued to her phone, barely asking how I was. Now suddenly she was gentle, pouring me water, fussing over me. I knew instantly she was acting. Ryan had called her. No doubt about it. "Why are you being so weird today?" I asked coldly. She smiled, brushing my hair back. "I am just worried about you. Sit down. Let me massage your shoulders." We sat in the living room while Logan played in his room. Emily skillfully steered the conversation. "Honey, Ryan called me. He is really worried. He said, 'You misunderstood something. Please calm down. Do not let anger ruin the bond between brothers.'" She took my hand, eyes glistening. "Ryan is your brother. We are family. Just talk it out." Hearing those words felt like a knife in the chest. Even now, after being betrayed, threatened, set up to go to prison, Emily was still on Ryan's side. She was not worried about me getting hurt. She did not ask, "Are you okay?" or, "What is the plan?" She was only protecting Ryan and their future, the embezzled money, their new life together. Disgust and fury surged inside me like fire. I yanked my hand away and stood up. "Stop it! Stop pretending! Have you no shame, still playing the perfect wife?" My voice rose, shaking with rage. Emily recoiled. "What are you talking about?" I exploded. "You think I am an idiot? I know everything. Your affair with Ryan. The two of you plotting to destroy my life, pin the debt on me, bankrupt the company, send me to prison, then divorce me and live off the stolen money." Emily froze, stunned as if slapped. Her face went white eyes, wide mouth open. "Ethan, how did you find out?" she stammered, then suddenly dropped to her knees, clutching my legs, sobbing hysterically. "I am sorry. Please forgive me. I was tricked. Ryan forced me. I love you." She trembled, tears streaming, gripping me like she was terrified I would disappear. I looked down at the woman I had loved for 7 years now, on her knees, begging, but it was not real remorse. It was fear. Fear of losing everything. Fear the plan had collapsed. "Forgive you," I said bitterly. "You think I am that generous?" I shoved her hands off and stepped back. "You and he planned it all perfectly." "Well, it is over now," she wailed louder. "Ethan, I was wrong. For Logan's sake, do not leave me." But I turned away, ready to walk out of this house of lies. My bag was already packed. I would stay with Grandpa for now and come back for Logan later. "Where are you going?" Emily screamed. I did not answer, but as I reached the door, I stopped dead. Standing on the porch, blocking my way, were my parents, Robert and Julia and Ryan, like they had planned this intervention together. Ryan looked pale as death. Dad was scowling. Mom was crying. "Ethan, stop right there," Dad roared. "Get back inside. We need to talk." I stared in disbelief. "Why are you all here?" Ryan glanced at Emily, voice shaking. "I called Mom and Dad. This is a family matter." I walked back in, curious to see what new trick they had. We gathered in the living room, but the air was so thick it was hard to breathe. No one sat comfortably. Everyone was rigid, like waiting for a verdict. Before I could speak, my parents launched in voices rapid and accusing. Dad ground his teeth. "Ethan, you have to stop this. Do not you dare report Ryan." Mom added, trembling but full of blame. Do you have any idea what will happen to the family's reputation if this gets out? How will your father and I ever face our relatives and friends again? Dad delivered the final blow. Do not embarrass us all over some misunderstanding. Not one of them asked what I had been through. Not one asked how I had been betrayed. They only cared about saving face. I shook my head, heart aching, but voice firm. Mom. Dad. I am the victim here. Ryan and Emily had an affair behind my back and plotted to send me to prison. I have clear evidence. Before I could say more, their tone shifted from pleading to threats. Dad shot up, face crimson. If you dare go to the police, we will disown you. Do you hear me? Mom nearly screamed, tears falling but words sharp as knives. Do you know what that would do to Ryan's reputation? What will people think of this family? Dad pointed straight at me, shaking with fury. You will destroy this family, Ethan, just because you cannot stand to let your brother be better than you. To them, Ryan's reputation mattered more than justice or my safety, the youngest son who had never been valued. I looked around the room and understood. No matter what Ryan did, they would protect him to the end. Suddenly, Ryan changed tactics, acting like he was the injured party. He dropped to his knees in front of me, hands trembling. Ethan, I am begging you. Do not blow this up. It is not that serious. We can settle it as a family. I will make it up to you. I swear. His eyes were red, voice breaking like I was the one who betrayed him. We are brothers, man. Have you forgotten how I always looked out for you? I stared straight at him. No more emotion, only cold truth. If I had not found out in time, I said slowly, each word cutting, I would be the one in prison right now. Ryan, you never once thought about the consequences of framing your own brother for bankruptcy and money laundering. Now, you will face the consequences. My voice was steady, ice cold, unshaken. For the first time, I saw real fear in Ryan's eyes. Chaos erupted. Mom sobbing loudly, Dad shouting, Ryan pleading, Emily wailing. I stood up and walked to the door. I am leaving. You all figure it out yourselves. They tried to grab me, but I pushed past and walked out, leaving behind a panicked family who finally realized I was no longer the weak little brother they could bully. I got in the car and drove off into the rain, tears rolling down my face. It hurt. It hurt to lose everything, my wife, my brother, my parents, but it also felt like freedom. The next morning, I woke up with iron resolve. I could not wait any longer for Ryan and Emily to make their next move. They were probably already erasing evidence or worse, planning to silence me. I contacted a lawyer who specialized in financial crimes. Daniel Mercer, recommended by Grandpa, a veteran who had handled major cases in Denver. Mr. Daniel, this is Ethan Carter, I said calmly on the phone. I need to meet you urgently. It is about embezzlement and criminal conspiracy. He agreed to see me that same afternoon. I drove to his office downtown, bringing the USB recordings and all my notes. The office was sleek floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the Denver skyline, but the atmosphere was tense. I sat across from him and told him everything. The lottery ticket, Emily and Ryan's betrayal, the evidence from accounting the confrontations. Daniel listened, took notes, and examined the USB. His face grew grave. This is extremely serious, Ethan. Money laundering, embezzlement, conspiracy to frame someone. These are federal crimes. He immediately contacted the authorities, the FBI, and the Department of Justice. I will represent you, he said. Stay safe and do not contact any of them. The Financial Crimes Unit and Economic Police moved fast. Within days, they began preliminary verification, checking accounts and company data. I handed over the recording of my confrontation with Ryan, his pleading and half admissions. They found exactly what I had reported: international transfers, fake invoices, shell companies. A freeze order was issued almost instantly. All of Ryan's personal accounts were locked. his offshore shell companies too. Even Chief Accountant Walter's accounts were frozen. Investigators seized the entire server accounting system and transaction records of Hawthorne Construction Group. The company offices were sealed, employees were sent home. Ryan and Emily were summoned for questioning. I was not present, but Daniel kept me updated. They are being interrogated separately. Ryan initially denied everything, but faced with emails transfers and the recording he broke. After several days of questioning, both Ryan and Emily confessed. The affair, the embezzlement, the plan to pin the debt on me. Emily sobbed, claiming Ryan had forced her, but investigators did not buy it. There were messages between them full of affection and plotting. Walter cooperated fully in exchange for leniency. The trial that followed drew massive attention. The federal courthouse in Boulder was packed. Reporters, business figures, even distant relatives. I sat in the witness section in a simple suit, heart racing. Daniel represented me and presented the evidence, the USB recordings testimonies. Ryan sat in the defendant's box, gaunt dark circles under his eyes. No longer the polished CEO. Emily beside him kept her head down, crying constantly. Walter testified Ryan directed everything. Faced with overwhelming, irrefutable evidence, the verdict came. Ryan Carter was sentenced to a total of 26 years in federal prison for money laundering, embezzlement, tax fraud, and conspiracy to frame another person. Concurrent sentences, no parole for the first 15 years. The chief accountant received 4 years for cooperating. Emily was fined $75,000 and lost all custody rights. The court granted me full custody due to proven infidelity and complicity. I was declared completely innocent, and Ryan was ordered to pay me $2.7 million in restitution for the debt he had tried to saddle me with. The gavel fell. The courtroom fell silent, then erupted in murmurs. Ryan was led away. He turned back and said, "Ethan." I did not look at him. I walked out of the courthouse feeling as if I had just escaped a long nightmare. The sun, rare in Boulder, shone warmly. A cool breeze ruffled my hair. Reporters swarmed. "Mr. Carter, how do you feel?" I shook my head. "I just want peace. No celebration, no parties." I quietly breathed the air of freedom, something I once thought I was about to lose forever. I went back to Grandpa's house. Logan ran out and threw his arms around me. I had won, but my family was shattered. After the trial, Hawthorne Construction Group was officially declared bankrupt. Its reputation collapsed completely. Investors pulled out en masse. Projects were canceled, assets liquidated by court order to compensate contractors, employees, and banks. The Hawthorne name, once the family's pride, built from nothing by my grandfather, disappeared from the market in a matter of months. The offices closed, the signs taken down. I watched the news on my phone and felt a stab of pain. "Grandpa, I am sorry." He put a hand on my shoulder. "It is all right, son. A company is just material things. You saved yourself." In the days that followed, the case dominated headlines across Boulder. Business circles talked about it in cafes. Media covered it nonstop. Newspapers, TV, social media. CEO embezzles millions, plots to destroy his own brother. The once respected Carter family became the center of a public storm. My parents were shunned by the community. Neighbors avoided them. Old friends turned away for blindly defending a criminal and blaming their innocent son. Their once lively house fell silent, filled only with regret. They aged visibly, rarely left home doors locked. Julia tried calling, but I had turned off my phone. Meanwhile, I chose a simple life. No flashy spending of the lottery money. I used part of it to pay off debts, saved the rest for Logan. I spent my days with him, taking him to school, playing ball in the park, reading bedtime stories. I worked hard at a new job in a small construction firm, just as an engineer. No management, no drama. My co-workers were friendly. I cherished every peaceful day. Morning coffee with Grandpa, picking Logan up in the afternoon, reading in the evenings. No more stress, no more suspicion. Life was simple but complete. 1 week after the trial, while everything was still raw in my mind, I filed for divorce. No hesitation, no second thoughts. It was simply the necessary step to close that painful chapter. The court granted it quickly thanks to the clear evidence of Emily's infidelity and complicity that Mr. Daniel Mercer had presented. I was awarded full custody of Logan. Our innocent 6-year-old had no idea about the storm that had just passed. Emily was granted only supervised visitation once a month. The marriage ended quietly. No tugging at the past, no final arguments. Once everything was over, I decided to leave the old city behind. The place filled with painful memories where every street reminded me of Hawthorne Construction Group Ryan's office and the house full of lies. Using part of the lottery winnings that Grandpa Henry had kept safe, I bought a spacious house in the Boulder suburbs. The place was strangely peaceful. Rows of maple trees blazing red in autumn. A huge backyard for Logan to run around in. Clean air untainted by the old conspiracies. The first time I drove Grandpa Henry and Logan to see it, the boy shouted, "Dad, the house is huge. There is a yard for playing ball." Grandpa smiled and patted my shoulder. "Perfect, son. This is truly a fresh start." I invited Grandpa to move in with us. He was getting older, still healthy, but living alone in the old house worried me. "Grandpa, come live with me and Logan," I said one afternoon while he was reading the paper on the porch. He laughed. "All right, grandson. I would love to be closer to Logan, too." The two of us made up for years of lost family closeness. He taught me the family barbecue recipe. I told him about my new job. We raised Logan together. Grandpa told him fairy tales at bedtime. I taught him how to kick a soccer ball and took him fishing. We built a small, peaceful, wonderfully warm family. In the evenings, we sat around the dinner table laughing. "Grandpa, I caught a huge fish today." Logan would brag. Grandpa Henry would grin just like your dad when he was little. I looked at them, one old, one young, and smiled a genuine smile I could not remember giving in years. With my experience from Hawthorne Construction Group and the lottery money, I started my own small construction company. Nothing grand, like before, just a modest office in the Boulder suburbs. A handful of employees specializing in residential builds and renovations. I ran it with honesty, integrity, and professionalism. Qualities I had never seen in Ryan. No fake invoices, no embezzlement, every figure crystal clear. We do business transparently, I told the team at our first meeting. Little by little, the company grew. Satisfied clients referred others. Word of good work spread. Once, while renovating a house for a lonely elderly woman, I personally checked everything and gave her a discount because she was struggling. "Thank you, Ethan. You are a genuinely kind man," she said, eyes shining. That was real pride, not the fake glory Ryan used to flaunt. The company is called Hawthorne Homeworks. I kept the family name to honor Grandpa, but everything else is new. I work hard. Morning team meetings, afternoons on job sites, evenings reviewing reports. No stress like before, just the joy of honest labor. Our life flows gently. Work in the mornings, pick Logan up from school in the afternoon dinner together with Grandpa in the evening. For the first time in years, I truly feel peace. No more lying awake worrying. No more wondering who is stabbing me in the back. On weekends, we walk in the park. Logan runs around. Grandpa sits on a bench telling stories. I take photos of them laughing. "Dad, I want to learn to build houses like you," Logan said once. I smiled. "Sure, buddy, but you have to do well in school first." That peace is like medicine. The wounds from betrayal slowly heal even if the scars remain. One day, about 8 months after the trial, I received a visiting request letter from Ryan in prison. It arrived by mail, handwriting shaky. "Ethan, I want to see you and apologize." I sat alone in the backyard, holding the letter, thinking for a long time. My heart raced. Memories flooded back. playing ball as kids, then the betrayal, the plot. Only now he apologizes, I wondered. Grandpa advised, "It is your decision, but if you go, be firm." I decided to visit not to rekindle brotherhood, but to put a final period on the story. I drove to the federal prison through cold iron gates and strict security checks. I sat in the visiting room behind the glass waiting. Ryan appeared on the other side, walking slowly. He was gaunt shoulders, slumped skin gray from endless sleepless nights. Premature gray hairs stood out on what used to be perfectly groomed hair. When his eyes met mine, they were filled with exhaustion and regret. He sat down, picked up the phone with trembling hands. "Ethan, thank you for coming." His voice was like something was stuck deep in his throat. Then he spoke. No excuses, no blame, just raw confession. He apologized for betraying me, for sleeping with the wife I had trusted most, for plotting to send me to prison, for the greed, selfishness, and cruelty that nearly cost me my freedom and my life. I was wrong, Ethan. Terribly wrong. I have been jealous of you for years. You were always decent, clean, and I let money blind me. Tears rolled down his cheeks. The first time I ever saw my proud older brother this broken. I destroyed our family, destroyed the company, and almost destroyed you. Please forgive me, Ethan. I looked at him for a long time. Inside me, everything mixed. Anger, disappointment, pity, and a nameless sadness. But hatred. I had let that go long ago. I raised the phone and said slowly, "Ryan, I forgave you a long time ago. Not for you, but for myself. Holding on to hate only hurts me, but your sentence, you have to serve it. That is the consequence of what you did." Ryan nodded over and over, tears falling. "You are stronger than I ever thought," he said, like a weight had lifted. When the visit ended, I hung up the phone and stood. Ryan watched me through the glass eyes, full of pain and gratitude. I walked out past the heavy iron gates. The cold Denver wind hit my face, carrying the wide-open breath of freedom. I breathed deeply. It was over. Truly over. No more ties. No more shadows behind me. An old chapter closed, and I left that place, lighter than ever. As for my parents, after Ryan went to prison, instead of realizing their mistake, they disowned me and blamed me for destroying the family. Robert called once. "Happy now Ryan is in prison because of you." Julia sobbed. "You have ruined everything, Ethan. You tore this family apart. I accepted it calmly. They had left my life long ago. I just had not noticed. From childhood, they favored Ryan and overlooked me. Nothing had changed. I cut contact completely. No calls, no visits, no gifts. I do not need them anymore," I told Grandpa Henry. He nodded. "You are right. They live isolated in the old house, condemned by public opinion, but I no longer care. I look only forward to a future with Grandpa and Logan, to a real home that truly belongs to me." Looking back on the entire journey from the moment I won the lottery to being betrayed, nearly framed and imprisoned, to the day I stood in court as an innocent man, I now understand that sometimes life has to shatter us into 1,000 pieces so we can finally see clearly what is real and what is fake, who truly loves us and who has only been using us. Sitting alone in the backyard of our new home beneath the maple trees whose red leaves drift down in the autumn breeze, I often think about how it all began with that single scratch-off ticket, its thin silver coating hiding everything. At first, it was pure ecstasy. $12 million enough to change a life. I pictured Emily throwing her arms around me, Logan laughing in a new house, even Ryan clapping me on the shoulder with congratulations. But then everything crumbled. Ryan and Emily sitting too close on the living room couch. The whispered late-night phone calls, the intimate sounds coming from his office. Life broke me apart. Trust collapsed. Love dissolved. Family turned their backs. Yet, from those very fragments I saw more clearly than ever before. Emily never loved me. She only used me. She chose Ryan for money and ambition. Ryan was never my brother. He was just a greedy man jealous of the decency he lacked. My parents were never a refuge. They were simply people blinded by reputation. Only Grandpa was real, a steadfast anchor who never needed promises. Life had to shatter me so I could learn one truth. What is false will sooner or later crumble, while what is real will always remain. I realized that my gentleness, diligence, and kindness were never weaknesses. They were strengths that evil people can never possess. That very decency kept me standing when the people I trusted most betrayed me. I've always been that way, yielding, working hard without complaint. At the old company Hawthorne Construction Group, I stayed up late, finishing reports, went out to job sites in the rain to check progress. Yet Ryan was always the one praised for great leadership. I used to think I was weak. Why did I not fight back? Why did I not scream when I was treated unfairly? But now looking back, that very gentleness saved me. When I overheard Ryan and Emily plotting, I did not burst in swinging. I stayed calm and gathered evidence. When my parents turned away, I did not beg and cry. I cut ties and moved forward. People like Ryan have fake strength, money power, but it collapses the moment it is exposed. I, with my decency, weathered the storm. I learned that not every group of people deserves to be called family. Some bear the titles of father, mother, brother, sister, yet are ready to turn their backs and push you into the abyss just to protect an illusion called reputation. And then there are people like my grandfather who need no vows, yet remain a rock-solid support. I learned this through long, sleepless nights. The Carter family used to be a source of pride. My parents bragging about Ryan at every gathering while I sat quietly in the corner. But when the truth came out, they chose reputation over justice, disowning me to protect Ryan even though he was the criminal. Blood must protect blood, Robert said. But what kind of protection is it when they are willing to send their youngest son to prison? That was not a home. It was a toxic bond. Grandpa never needed promises, just listening, advising, and willingly putting the lottery money in his name to keep me safe. On mornings, drinking coffee together, we talk about life. He says son family are the ones who stay when things get hard, not just the ones who gave you life. I nod, warmth filling my heart. And now my home is this little house in the Boulder suburbs where I live with Grandpa and Logan, a place filled with laughter, with no room left for lies or pain. I learned to let go of toxic relationships, to cut ties that only hurt me. Forgiveness is not about giving the other person peace. It is about freeing yourself so you can move on. That was the greatest lesson of the whole journey. I used to cling trying to explain to my parents forgiving Emily for Logan's sake. But then I realized clinging only deepens the wound. When I finally cut them off, no calls to my parents, seeing Emily only during supervised visits, I felt lighter. When I forgave Ryan in prison, I said I forgive so that I do not hate. Not for him, for me. Carrying hate only made me suffer, kept me awake, stopped me from smiling genuinely at Logan. One evening, Grandpa asked, "Do you hate them?" I shook my head. "No, Grandpa. I have let it go." He smiled. "Then you have truly grown up. Letting go set me free. No longer worrying about their calls. No longer haunted by the past. I teach Logan's son, if someone hurts you, let them go. Life still has so many good things. Watching Logan grow up in peace. Watching Grandpa smile at every dinner, I know this. True happiness does not come from money or fame. It comes from daring to choose what is right, daring to stand for justice, and daring to live kindly even when the world is unfair. Watching Logan grow strong and happy in our suburban home, running across the lawn, laughing under the sunset, I finally understand the full meaning of the word happiness. Every evening, seeing Grandpa's gentle smile at the dinner table, his old eyes still shining with quiet pride, I realize that real happiness is not found in wealth status or the praise of others. It comes from daring to stand up when betrayed, daring to defend what is right, even if you stand alone, and still choosing kindness, even when the world is unjust. Looking at my true little family, Logan and Grandpa, I know that every pain I endured led me here, to a life of peace, integrity, and the person I always wanted to be. The greatest lesson I learned is this: never lose yourself just to keep a relationship, a reputation, or a family that was never truly yours. I learned it the hard way through fire and trial. I once lost myself yielding to Ryan to preserve brotherhood, enduring Emily to preserve marriage, staying silent before my parents to preserve family. But when I finally stood up and fought back, I found myself again the decent, strong man I am. Do not lose yourself, I tell my reflection every morning. Keeping toxic relationships only brings suffering. Fake reputations crumble. False families should be released. Now I live for myself, an honest company, a warm little family. And the advice I always want to pass on to anyone lost in pain: always stand on the side of truth. Believe in yourself. Some losses exist only to clear the path for a better life. I think these words often while watching Logan sleep. If anyone ever reads my story, remember this. Stand for the truth, even when it hurts. Like I reported them to the police, though I lost everything. Believe in yourself. Like I gathered evidence alone. Loss is a doorway. I lost the old family and gained a new one. A better life is waiting ahead.